This is the Norris Group's Real Estate Investor Radio Show, the award-winning show dedicated to thought leaders shaping the real estate industry and local experts revealing their insider tips to succeed in an ever-changing real estate market. Hosted by author, investor, and hard money lender, Bruce Norris.
Welcome back. Happy New Year, everybody. Now, please enjoy part 2 of our interview with Aaron Norris of Property Radar / the Norris Group.
I am very interested to see the trends. I think how we view our home because of the pandemic, we're going into a solid 2 years, and now we've got Omicron variant. You've got people that are educating, working, living at home. They want more space. I think one of the things we'll have to watch is the builder. They track the average of what's being built. I would expect that to go up this year for the first time in many years, because people are wanting more space. And I think we're going to watch certain counties have different experiences. I think the coastal region is going to have a different experience than like the Inland Empire, the Bay Area versus Sacramento. When people can move wherever they want. I've had some realtors tell me down in San Diego and Palm Springs that they've got people from the Bay Area willing to fly back and forth because they can work remote and they might have to go to the office. Well, in the Bay Area where the median price is 1.7, 1.8 million, and you can save $1 million in your median price by moving down to San Diego, that buys a lot of plane tickets.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so whether they're moving out of state, it's going to be really interesting to see.
See, what I'm fascinated to find out is the sustainability of Florida's increase to this point. It's still only half of California's median price, or less than that, but it's having serious migration of money. And you also have states that are being pretty aggressive, like California, having a lot of people move out from New York and New Jersey who have the same numbers.
Correct.
So they show up to Florida and everything's on sale. Well,
yeah, they're looking at our prices and laughing. They're like, that's nothing.
Yeah. So, well, to what you just said, a friend of mine, Bob, who's a builder, who's moved his whole family to trying to get them to go to Cape Coral, and definitely friends. He's very influential and well liked. So he went to look at a series of lots that we had in Rotunda, and Melanie's got a really good eye. Melanie's the Serrato. She's the broker. Alex Serrato is the builder that I've trusted for years in California. They moved out. Anyway, he went to go see these lots, and they're great lots. He said, I got to tell you, if you put a 3,000 square foot house there, it'll sell for $1 million or more. And I told that to Melanie, she was afraid to mention to me, because we had the biggest house we were building is 2170. And she said, I was afraid to mention that to you. She said, I've already picked 2 plans, 2,900 and 3,000. And she said, I think that's what we should build there. I said, let's do it.
Yeah. And we have to tell the audience, this particular area of Southwest Florida, the median age goes up like 15 to 20 years. By just crossing like a street. It's crazy. There's like 5 golf courses. It's a very interesting community. It's not where I would ever want to live, but it's a niche. And what we're building there, man, it's so great to have expertise in the area that knows what to build where. And it's just it's so interesting watching all the IRS data of who's moving down there. It's easy to see why people are. It's just, you're never fit more than 15 minutes away from the beach. Lots of recreation, great weather. I don't know why we would ever see an issue with people moving out. And actually, that's one of the data points when we updated the boot camp book. There's actually been an increase of 2% of home ownership. So home ownership in the areas that we're building are around 72% now. Compared to what it was just a few years ago. And that's always a lagging data point. So I would expect that to possibly even increase more next time the IRS releases that data.
I would think so too, because of who's migrating here. So when you have, 85% and going up are adults, either single adults or adults with families that migrate to Florida. Well, if they owned a home someplace, they're definitely going to be home buyers. But if maybe they were a renter in like a California, but most people move to other states from California. But if you're from New York and you were renting, you have a chance to buy something here. So yeah, that's definitely, I view Texas and Florida as recipient states for quite some time. I prefer Florida, but obviously Texas is attracting their share of big businesses.
Bruce, part of the reason you've been able to do these reports on California is because California is its own monster, right?
Absolutely.
And you've always talked about, well, I don't know if Florida we can do a report like that because it doesn't have the history like a California does. Do you think that Florida will start developing as its own monster now, or will it still kind of mimic the trends of the national real estate?
Well, it's a great question, and the answer is to be determined. See, that's what I like about, okay, I'm going to get to the bottom of Florida, but I need all these charts. And so that's what we'll do. We'll pull up as many years history. I know affordability doesn't tell the story of Florida. In other words, there's no repetitive number that you hit and okay, that's the end of that. So that's what's fun about this challenge, is that I have to clean the slate. Everything that I thought mattered and was definitive, I know I can't count on. So I have to look at all these charts, but at least I understand the charts and the sequence that can occur. So, and you know what? If the end result is, here's a lot of charts and the story is yet to be repetitive, that's okay with me. That's still a find, if you will. This is what I think is going to occur, and here's why I think it's going to occur that way. But yeah, you're absolutely right. When I looked at California, I had no idea. What I was really trying to say when I started doing the study in '95, I got to figure out how to understand the cycles to protect my own dough. And man, that's Florida. I'm excited that I'm here. Do I expect this to continue like crazy? No, because the numbers are really aggressive. But because of the price point, I find it very unlikely you're going to go backwards. I'll give you another example about what's different. So in California, we can say pretty definitively over the cycles, the percentage of foreclosures that are participating in the marketplace have a definite impact on a negative result. Well, Florida last time had a 4-year foreclosure process. So I need to see the foreclosure data, but I have a feeling the anticipation of the foreclosures was almost as damaging as the numbers for Florida, that you say, okay, the mood is terrible. The prices, I bet the prices declined in the first 2 years of, let's say, 2008, 9, 10, but without the foreclosures being a participant because they couldn't get there yet, but they were inevitable. So that's what's fun, is that you have to look at this and go, wow, that's interesting. It's different. How do I think about that going forward?
It'll be interesting to apply your moodometer to Florida.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. The numbers are probably double in the affordability, if you will, and the moodometer would have but they have their own history. So you have to throw out California's mood because that's crazy and way more than the national price. And you have to go, what does the Floridian want to do? But the more people that show up from New York or New Jersey, it'll just be really interesting to see. And I'm excited to learn about it myself because that's what I do.
Some opportunity for investors next year in California. I would really be watching an update on SB 9 in particular. SB 9 is where the state is tired of waiting for zoning changes and the cities to get their act together to build more housing. And so they've basically done away with single family zoning. So right now it only applies to homeowners, but this is how the ADU law started. So you hopefully within the next year, investors will be able to do lot splits, turn a single family home into a duplex. I don't like the law right now, mainly because you can't be a real estate investor and take advantage of it. But it also doesn't have the timeline. So ADU laws right now, the city has 60 days to hand you back a permit if you've got a complete application in. I've been exploring some ways that maybe if you're building an ADU, you might be able to take advantage of that. And the only thing that I can think of is if you install the utilities in such a way that it is indeed a separate unit, separate water meter, all that kind of stuff, instead of splitting it and sharing it. That's the only thing I can think of. SB10 is another interesting opportunity where what's safer about this is the cities are supposed to select zones where they want to increase density. So you'll be able to go from a single family R1 lot and possibly end up building a 10 unit plus 2 ADUs. So up to a 12 unit on what's right now zoned maybe R1 to R4 or something.
Wow.
Yeah. So for those of you who like construction, it could be an exciting year. In many ways, if you're have not done construction, it's the Wild West right now. Price increases, I would expect more wage increases this year. Looking at the newsletter that you just did, looking at what happened over a decade, and the fact that all those numbers got sticky. Man, that data is so cool. I bet anything they wish they would have kept doing that. But for those of you listening, it was basically charts of a new construction house being built, and all the different pieces and the price journey of all the pieces that make up a house, including the wages for things like bricklayers, and what happened over the 70s is really cool to see.
Well, but you know what? If you had done it after that, it wouldn't have told a very wonderful story. So that was the decade to do it, because you had inflation. And I think you're saying that we might be in that decade. And so
to some extent.
Yeah, see, that's what's interesting. So we've got this 6% plus inflation, and the bond market is going yawn at 1.47 this morning on a 10-year. So that's a head scratcher, because if you went backwards and you thought 6% was going to be the number that was going to stick around for next year, that number wouldn't be 1 point anything. It would be 8.
Right.
So, okay. So some really intelligent people are going, still, this is temporary. That's what that tells me. They're not expecting inflation to be a big problem. And part of it is the world that you're familiar with is tech advances that are deflationary. That's their job. How do we do this for less?
Yeah, and I think the next decade we are going to see some interesting technology in the real estate space, especially in construction.
Yeah.
So robotics, manufacturing of homes inside plants. We're already doing it with manufactured homes. I don't know, specifically California. I'm surprised they haven't pushed the envelope there, because it's greener. You get stuff stolen less often. If you can bring in the walls that are already basically done, and you're just, it's flat packed. This is a known, they already do this. I just don't know why it's not standard, especially here in California.
I think some of it is the wait time, from what I've understood. It's a year out or more. So you want to order a home, you're out 12 months plus.
Well, if you're building from scratch, isn't that almost the time? Yeah, you're out that long anyway. And you're risking things getting stolen. That's one of the things that the builder that we're working with in Florida has had to navigate, because people are so in so desperate need of certain supplies. He's having to do very strategic things to make sure that things don't get stolen on site.
Yeah.
So,
well, you mentioned that there's a 3D printed track going up in Texas.
In Austin, Icon is out there building theirs. They have their own substrate that they build with that's supposedly stronger than block or cement. I forget what they said. And then Mighty Buildings is building one in Rancho Mirage. So Mighty Buildings was the one that you and I worked with. We almost got to buy one of their first 3D printed homes for a nonprofit in San Diego, and unfortunately it fell apart. But yeah, I mean, some of these, the Icon is saying that they can build their home for $10,000 in 24 hours. But that's the walls. So you still have all the finishing and whatnot. But the fact that that can even be done by a machine is pretty spectacular.
Well, Sean O'Toole, one thing I really miss is the journey from the hotel to the I Survived location, the Nixon Library, because I basically would have one-on-one conversation, and he would fill me in on what the future looks like. So it's from him I learned about 3D printing, and it was like, what? And self-driving cars, and also the 3D printed homes. He thinks that could be a game changer ultimately in the cost of
Mhm.
real estate.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's just so perfectly timed with ADUs. Icon's core product is a 600 square foot, like one bedroom, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
So being able to, we're having to get creative here in California because we basically took a decade off of new construction, and we're just at such in need of housing right now. And I think the conversation is just going to continue to be stressed. So it's clear the state is stepping in. Did you know that the state could basically come down and kick local authority out if they don't play ball and get the housing mix that they need? The state can step in and kick out the locals.
That makes sense.
It hasn't been done yet, but
Right.
none of the cities or counties have been really meeting the goals that they've set for new construction. And I don't think the vast majority are going without some major intervention. I've sat on some of these housing coalitions trying to create ideas, and they want to keep talking about the same projects where they built 4. I'm like, guys, you have to build 28,000 in the next 5 years. Why are we hung up on 4? Yes, it was a cool project, but how are we going to get to 28,000?
Yeah, that's a lot of 4s.
Yeah, and you need investors, probably more than you need homeowners at this point. But it's just been really interesting, the lagging. I don't know how cities are going to do it, to be honest with you. So they just all got all their allocations within the last 12 months, and they've got to finish it in 5 to 8 years, I believe. So they really got to put a fire under it.
Uh, are you familiar? And I'm not, so I'm asking something I don't know. Are you familiar with the household formation numbers for California? Because I just looked this morning at the number of the people in the labor force.
Mhm.
And for 2021, it was exactly the same as it was in, say, 2017, 2018, 2019. We're not gaining like we used to. So if you go back, say, to 2005 to 2010, there was progression of a lot of people that were workers that showed up. We don't have that now. We don't have migration of adults.
Mm-mm. Well, but at the same time, you had a lot of millennials wait a very long time to get off the parents' couch and to form households. You have seniors aging in place. They don't want to move, especially now because of COVID. So how we approach housing and household formation has just been sort of screwy the last couple decades. So it'll be interesting to see how that happens. And I haven't been tracking the divorce rate. I don't know during COVID if we've seen more divorces, and so you've got household formation via split ups. I don't know.
Oh, so you gain a household for every divorce you have one plus.
Seriously, but I know there's probably a fair amount of people that are having to combine households as well because of affordability problems.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, the builder is a profit seeker. If they thought it was profitable collectively, what are they doing building 60,000 houses, which is equivalent to 1981? If they thought, oh, wow, there's a boatload of money to be made making another 60,000 homes instead of just 60. Well, their answer in the last 8 years has been, nah.
Yeah, it's risky. The National Association of Home Builders released last week that 1 out of 4 new construction projects was infill or scraping.
Yep. Interesting. Well, that's what's been interesting in Florida. When you drive around, you go to Cape Coral, for instance, and you realize, okay, that body of water that's behind like 3 houses that I'm building goes all the way out
to the ocean.
And then you realize that 80% of the lots are vacant. And you just, wow, it's sort of like being in Huntington Beach in 1960 or something.
Yeah, and that's sort of finally having its heyday. It is interesting. And I'm a nerd, so I love infrastructure and development, urban development. And so I'm always looking at things like, are trains coming? What kind of infrastructure are they building? And yeah, Fort Myers is on some of the proposed lists for mass transit, like trains and stuff. So it feels like this area is getting its moment in history.
Yeah.
And it's beach living at a far more affordable price than the closest big cities are Sarasota and Naples. We're sort of sandwiched between those. And it very much feels to me like this area behaves a lot like a Sacramento or an Inland Empire, but you're still on the beach. It's very strange.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm Irish, I burn. The sun is wasted on me, but I don't feel the need to live close to the beach, but some people do.
Well, usually it treats real estate prices pretty well.
I'm also interested to see how Wall Street fares. You've got some states that are looking and trying to stop Wall Street from buying houses. I think California is doing that right now. So I was actually working with last year before I went out for the heart surgery. I tipped Bloomberg News off to the fact that these iBuyers were moving more inventory off market to these institutional buyers that are holding these for rentals.
Right.
And the problem with that is that national news is reporting that, oh, just on average, they only own this much. I'm all, guys, you're doing that such a disservice by looking at it like that. You've got to go down to the local market because they're not in every market. They're in these primary and secondary markets, taking these first-time buyer homes off the market, and builders aren't building those.
Right.
So you have just taken the opportunity away from a single family home from a family that no longer is going to be able to do that because it's going to be a rental.
Well, we kind of experienced that at Trustee Sales.
Yeah.
So as we were buying at Trustee Sales, all of a sudden when they entered the fray, they were overpaying. There was no way you could have sold it in the next 6 months for a profit, but that wasn't why they wanted the inventory. They wanted it as a rental. So it changed the game. And the same is true with a home buyer wants to just live in it. If the numbers still work for Wall Street, yeah, you're not going to compete well against them because you have to make an intentional decision. So like when we were flipping a fair amount of homes a year, like 80, we didn't sell any of them to them intentionally.
Yeah, and what's funny is they do a really good job trying to hide their entities. They're constantly opening new entities and trying to hide. When I reported it to Bloomberg News, they actually followed up with the iBuyers, and one of the iBuyers initially lied and said, "No, we're not doing that. We're not forwarding." And I forwarded them the exact addresses, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's us."
Well, it didn't work out for Zillow.
Yeah, well, that's a great example. They're like, yeah, we're giving 2,000 houses to, is it Predia, or I forget the name, it starts with a P. But yeah, these institutional Wall Street rental companies have raised billions, and they're going into these assets. They're becoming builders, they're building out tracts and renting them out just like we are. That was my one concern about the area we're building in. I was looking at the data thinking that, oh, what if this is going to become really dominated by real estate investors? So I was really happy to see the data that hasn't been the case. And this is by and large has been remaining an owner occupant dominant market.
By a lot. I mean,
yeah.
California, what is the California owner occupant
percentage? I want to say in LA, it might even be under 50%.
Yeah. So it's in the 50s. And you're talking about Florida's 70 something.
Yeah. And the crime it's far safer. It's just so different. I just really enjoy doing that. I haven't sold everything in California. I think some people think that we're poo-pooing California. It's a strategy.
Well, you know what? And so, and how it started with me is I had those Moreno Valley homes in an area that went from 35 grand to 275. And the area hadn't changed. I asked Mike O'Neill, what percentage of your rental base would go into this neighborhood and rent? He said 20%. So I lost 80% of the world just because of where they were. And I thought when I had a chance to 1031 exchange to new homes in 2016, I just said, well, that's an inventory that 100% of people will want. And I just thought over the long haul for the rest of my life, I would like to start with a new house instead of a 60-year-old house.
Yeah, and building these things the way that we're building, I really like the concept of building with retail sales in mind. So all the stuff that I'm building is, 9-foot ceilings, tile throughout, so I don't have to replace the carpet. The finishes are sturdy. So hopefully turnover is also minimal when I do have turnover. So far, I've been really happy. I mean, the two rentals that I just had come out, one of them, the 1644 model that we built, that we helped design based on Melanie's, I thought I was going to get 1,800, and it's going to go for 2,400 to 2,500 in rent.
Wow!
In just 1 year.
I think I'm building 3 of those, or am I building the bigger ones? I'm not sure.
Well, make sure you do the 3-car garage.
Too late. I took somebody's I took somebody's
Oh.
position, so it's a 2 car. So I'm going to be
Oh.
missing $100 or so.
It's $100, but still, that's a big increase from what we expected, which is really, really nice.
Yeah.
I think ADUs continue to be a really cool opportunity for investors, especially if you've got some rentals that you really like and it comes with some land. If one of the things I'm still surprised that investors do not know is that ADU laws apply to multifamily. So I've seen some really great projects. I had an investor call me and say, yeah, I took a fourplex and it had a lot of land, but they didn't have garages. So I built garages with ADUs on top, 4 additional units. So he went
My.
from a 4 to 8 unit. For the sake
Wow.
of financing, it still qualifies for 1 to 4. But he
What?
also, yeah, they're not considered like it's not considered an 8plex. So he was able to improve, oh, and the garages are extra income as well. So depending on which unit, you have to pay extra for the garage. That's fantastic. Commercial properties where they have underparking, investors are turning the underparking because the cities want to get rid of those, specifically because they're not good in earthquakes, turning those into ADU units.
Wow.
I interviewed a developer that's doing that and helping convert a lot of that. So it's a very specific hyper local opportunity that only local investors will understand, and Wall Street won't chase that kind of stuff. They're not in the
No.
building.
Too much work.
Way too much work. So I definitely think that's where investors might want to focus some attention this year, create some extra cash flow. And it's amazing what a 1 unit can go for, but you can build up to 1,200 square feet. You can squeeze a couple of bedrooms, 2 or 3 in 1,200 square feet. So
Yeah. I lived in a brand new house that was 13. So yeah.
yeah,
Can be done.
in New York City, I think I was living in a 3-bedroom that was 600 square feet. It is possible.
Well, I think we're almost out of time.
I think so too. I went fast.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me, Aaron, and thanks for all your effort this year to stick around and participate. And looking forward to a great 2022. Joey,
Me too.
Thanks so much for being supportive of my son.
It's not to be thanked. It's what you do. And Aaron, I'm here. By the way, people always ask me, like, how did you end up at the Norris Group? And when I tell the story, it's like, well, Aaron and I were just doing everything in the community together. We would just end up at charity events or helping out nonprofits, and we were just at the same spots. And we kind of developed that friendship for the better part of almost 8 years before I came over here. And
Yeah.
so I was a friend before I was an employee.
Yeah, got some deep roots.
Yeah.
That's right.
For more information on hard money loans and upcoming events with the Norris Group, check out thenorrisgroup.com. For information on passive investing with trust deeds, visit tngtrustdeeds.com.
The Norris Group originates and services loans in California and Florida under California DRE License 012-19911, Florida Mortgage Lender License 1577, and NMLS License 1623669. For more information on hard money lending, go to thenorrisgroup.com and click the Hard Money tab.